I could have everybody pause with what you're doing right now with your work and give your attention up here. Okay, so yesterday I kind of walked you through the steps for writing a body paragraph. Eyes are up here. Even if you're having trouble with setting up your computer, I can come and help you when I'm done with this lesson. It's going to be very short. One of the other teachers, Mrs. Stevens, came up with this kind of very focused checklist for you to use when you're writing your body paragraph. And so I wanted to kind of walk you through a self-check of the body paragraph that you wrote yesterday. All right, so remember, we're keeping in mind the end, right? We're starting with the end in mind. So we know that the end of all of this essay writing, we're going to need to take the state test. We need to take it whether we're ready or not, but we want to kind of keep ourselves aware of the pacing that we need to do for this test. In order to complete the test in the 120 minutes that they are going to give you, you need to be able to write a body paragraph in about 12 minutes. Yesterday, you had about 35, almost 40 minutes of writing time. So if you were on pace and you were able to keep up with what the expectation is for the state test, you would have written almost all 3 of your body paragraphs. Now, I understand if you're not there, but I just want you to be aware of the time that we're talking about so that you can just work on trying to stay as focused as you can. We're going to be doing a lot of essay writing. It's going to get easier. I guarantee it. I've been doing this for over 20 years. It will get easier the more we do it. And the only expectation I have of you is that each of the, could you sit up please? Each of the essays that you write should be a little bit better than the one before. That's my expectation. All right, so I want to walk you through, so pull up your essay, and you're going to look at the very first body paragraph that you wrote yesterday. I kind of walked you through most of it, and we used the charts that we had and the checklist. But now we're going to do a self-check. So the very first thing you need to do is look and see, did you indent your paragraph? If you did, good for you. Next one, did you start your paragraph with a transitional phrase that goes with a first body paragraph? Did you have a question?
I was going to say that whenever, since the beginning of writing essays on the computer, when we started writing them on the computer, whenever I open it up, the indent is gone.
Okay. All right. I don't know either. Just put it back in. I will tell you that most people, their indent stays. So maybe it's a formatting issue if it's gone away. Okay. I can work with you during independent time to see if we can figure out why that's happening. All right. So your first sentence should start with a transitional phrase, and it should be your main idea. I want everybody to look at their sentence, and I want everybody to look at the first word after the comma. It should not be capitalized. So take a look at that, because the transitional phrase now is the first word in the sentence. So the word after the comma should not be capitalized unless it's a proper noun. If you are writing first, Yellowstone Park is a national park. All right? Yellowstone would be capitalized because it's a proper noun. Does everybody get that? If you capitalized it, fix it right now and make it lowercase. All right, then after that, the next sentence, you should be starting that sentence out in source one. Or for example, in source one, or for example, with the title, or for example, in paragraph 3. And then you're going to present your first either quote, paraphrase, or one sentence summary. Remember, you're going to present 3 different pieces of evidence. You're not expected to summarize the whole article for each piece of evidence. You're just summarizing the detail that you're using to support your main idea. All right, remember, yesterday I said the most common element that is missing from a body paragraph is that citation. And we looked at our chart on how to cite evidence. Use those sentence frames. All right, there's nothing wrong with you using the tools that you have in front of you. Logan, what are you working on? Are you paying attention to what I'm talking about? Can I get you to, are you fixing a missing capital letter? Okay. I just don't want you to be distracted and miss the rest of this, okay? All right, and then afterwards, that's when you're going to elaborate. Elaboration is when you say more about something. And if you remember from yesterday, go ahead and turn to your transitional phrases chart. Sometimes we get stuck when we're trying to elaborate. What am I going to say? How am I going to show that this supports my main idea? You're writing an essay about the different groups that were involved in the American Civil War. And for example, you might have said something like, children were involved in the American Civil War, and so you might, at the end of your evidence, say something like, this shows that the American Civil War changed the lives of many children. Or something like, this shows that children's involvement in the American Civil War changed their lives, or it was significant, or it was a sacrifice. Okay? So all of the bullets in this box are kind of like sentence beginners or thinking beginners. You don't necessarily have to include this in your sentence, but it gets you thinking in certain ways. So elaborating really is helping your reader make that connection between your evidence and your main idea. So look right now at your body paragraph. Look after your first quote and see if you elaborated. Did you say more about this? Did you tell your reader how this connects to your main idea? Just know that if you skipped that elaboration piece, that is something you have to put into your body paragraph. And then you're going to move on to your second bullet on your planning sheet. Excuse me. And you're going to do the same thing over again. Sometimes I think this is sort of like layering the parts of a sandwich. When you're building it, you know, you have your bread on the bottom, and then you might have lettuce, and you might have meat, you might have cheese and tomatoes, and lots of layers. You can also think of a cake if you're a sweet tooth. Lots of layers here. You would go again, citation, the quote or paraphrase, and sometimes your citation is part of your quote. You don't have to have a separate sentence about your citation, especially if you use one of the sentence frames. You might say, in paragraph 4, it states, and then you quote, and it's all one sentence. All right, remember, we can quote as long as it's not more than a full sentence. So you can quote words and phrases or one sentence. If it's longer than that, you need to either paraphrase it, put it in your own words, or summarize it, which is still in your own words, but just the most important parts that you need. And then again, elaborate. So today, you're going to take a look at your first body paragraph. You're going to use this checklist to revise or add any of the missing pieces, and then you're going to continue to write. Remember, yesterday was Monday and we started our writing of our body paragraphs. You're going to write today, and you're going to write tomorrow, and on Friday you're going to write your conclusion, and you'll do your revisions and proofreading, and you're going to turn in what you have done. And it will be graded using the checklist that you have right now on your desk, so you know exactly what each point is going to be. So the number of points, you want to check off every single box, meaning that what is on that description is there in your writing. Any questions before you go to work? No? Yes? Okay. All right, go ahead and get started then.